Luther against all oppression. Forward never, backward never, for learning and culture, sports and struggle, great effect. I love you, there is only one great effect in the universe. Another great effect is a counterfeit. Great of the greatest effect. Great.
We believe the closure is a stubborn stance of the university to ensure that our call for transparency and accountability does not see the light of time. Therefore, this our demand remains the hallmark of management, which our Vice Chancellor has refused to align with us on, as we are reasonable individuals that also share in the vision of achieving a 21st century university. As contemporary unionists and students who reason within the ambit of law, we consulted all stakeholders in the university, such as ASU, NASU, SAN, and NAT, to know their position on the matter. They do not form just part of the affected parents, but also an integral part of the university system, and they posited a total reversal of the fees. Our peaceful gestures extended to the Governing Council through the Pro-Chancellor made the Council perceive that we engage the management in further discussions to resolve the matter. Premised on the aforementioned, our union condemned this vicious closure of the university and demanded its immediate reopening. Having expended a good deal of intellectual resources to carry out a critical appraisal of the increment policy in its totality, we also agree with the agitation of the university management that the federal government underfund education. But our poor parents should not be unduly exploited and be made to pay for the failure of a government that has always been for the rich few. The OAU situation itself is that which does not support any form of increment, as the university has not justified the former fees paid by students. In 2011, the varsity management increased acceptance fee paid by French students from 2,000 to a whopping 20,000 naira. The struggle against which led to the closure of school, proscription of our dear students' union, and suspension of student leaders. Since this time, there has not been any commensurate academic and or welfare infrastructure development in the university. The university has been generating funds that run into multi-millions yearly through various channels that, if properly managed, can be used to run the university effectively. Some of this is the yearly post-UTME exams, where each of the students of about 30,000 applicants pay not less than 6,000 into the university purse. The pre-degree program fee increased yearly with over 4,000 admitted students paying not less than 160,000 as of now. This is not unconnected with the fees of the diploma students and other distance learning programs from which the university generates millions constantly. It is even reported that some officers of the university see these non-degree awarding programs as money invariants. We definitely cannot afford to see these injustices driving against the future of children of the general downtrodden in Nigeria. Our management has said that the amount being paid by students does not appeal to average human rationality, and this therefore necessitates the increment without even considering the tax of funds inevitably coming to the university. OAU is entitled to about 7 billion of the yearly 220 billion a mark for schools during the federal government ASU face-off of 2013. Millions of dollars have been given to the university by World Bank for being one of Nigeria's best institutions. Over 140 million has been granted to the university by the federal government for certain ongoing projects like first-year laboratories, which are not visibly ongoing as of now. There's a money budgeted about 140 million for the school called first-year laboratory, and we can't find anything on campus. Rather, the university reportedly went ahead to squander millions of investing funds on controversial projects for the Nuga Games, when the water supply system of the university has become a typhoid and skin disease haven for students, and a total deviation from the generally accepted description of water, as well as electricity availability, being romanced by degradation per minute. Until recently, the university management refused to open up for discussion. We have advocated at various discussions the alternative sources of income the university can maximize in order to avoid being catalysts of oppression and tenders of social inequality. The university, as an investment company, which it can maximize the production of goods being made from these businesses. The investment companies producing bread, sachet, and table water, as shuttle buses and large hectares of land called OAU farms, among other ventures. They spread over 50,000 population on campus to consume the bread and water and to board the shuttles. There's a free manpower used on the farm, the part for agric students. The farm alone, if properly managed, can produce enough to feed the nation. The company can even be a avenue for a profitable work-study program for indigent students. Why can't our management look inward to these things other than taking the last hope of the poor Nigerian children away from their education? Despite faulting the logic of these increments, elected officers of the union reached out to the university management for critical appraisal of the fee regime. While at the point our Congress conceded for a 5% increase, the university management stubbornly maintained its no-refuse stance and threatened frantically to close down the university if students resist the fee regime. As on the central of presidency, we like to state our displeasure with the parade of misinformation our management has embarked on this issue, a criminal offense for that matter. In its recent information to the public, the registrar distorted the original fees being paid by students by telling the public that since the past 10 years, all students pay an amount which already has 1,600 tissue. The figure released to the public is literally the fees being paid by returning students, not by freshers. For instance, returning students are paying between 6,000 and 12,000. Instead of telling the public that freshers too, they are paying about 22,000 before, an additional 20,000, making everything about 50,000. We didn't tell the public, we only told them about the returning student fees, so that you can say, okay, they are paying ridiculous amounts. It's part of the misinformation. The registrar further misled the University Senate and public, and the student leaders were called to a meeting on Tuesday, 17th June, and refused to attend. It is important to note that the Union Parliament on 19th June, on the 9th June, the day elected officers of the Union were sworn in, directed a reopening of the negotiation. Actually, when the Union came on board, legally, we were sworn on June 9. Then the Parliament met and they said we should reopen negotiation. We started the negotiation until they refused our negotiation and we went to the streets. After that, we still went back. So let's reopen negotiation as constructive individuals. But they didn't respond for like a week until we started another protest. The notice, later they brought a notice after we had concluded our Congress on Tuesday. We had a protest on Monday 16th. On Monday 17th, we didn't have any protest to relax, but we called the Congress. And after the meeting, they brought a letter, no agenda and no venue. That we should come for a meeting for what? No agenda stated there. But just because they know that we are still planning another protest on the 18th. We demand a total reversal of these fees as a rate of stealing, even on campus now, when the students just resume, even the stay-at. A lot of people have been stealing. And when we caught them, then they will tell you they don't have money, they need to pay their school fees. Laptops have been stolen, seriously. Phones, iPhones, just because people want to pay. And we know if many people that got admission there just because of the fees, and nothing is being done to cater for them. The panacea that management brought was unrealistic. They said they are setting up a committee to cater for the poor but brilliant students. If somebody that is poor that cannot read, they will be very brilliant. Or what is the minimum that they are going to state as requirement for being brilliant? So they're just trying to justify their position. Our security report files are increasing daily, and the management said that 97% of poor Nigerian parents have paid the money. That cannot be true, even if it's true. Many have been calling us. Many, when they brought their children to campus on reception, they were crying woefully because they said they had to borrow some ads to do some odd jobs. Even students now, part one students, they are doing PA to their mates just to maintain themselves on campus. And the union cannot look the other way. Why it's only a session that we have to pay? What about those that are going to pay for over 5 years? Following various congresses held by creative students, this last paragraph, an harmonization of our resolutions was thus: 1. That the university be reopened immediately. 2. That on total reversal of these high fees we stand, there is no justification for it whatsoever. 3, that there should be an upward funding of education by the federal government. 4, that great students remain open to discussion based on mutual respect on this matter. The discussions we've had before now was to tell us to read matriculation votes and tell us that if you don't take what we are telling you, we are going to close down the school, proscribe the union, send you home, and you see, you now be on your own. We are still fighting jointly, but when the time comes, you'll be fighting individually. It's a matter of atmosphere of threat, and that cannot be a negotiation. 5th, that all charges against indicted student activists be withdrawn. Many of our activists have been indicted at the moment, just to threaten them. That a non-victimization policy be entrenched by the management. 7, that the struggle continues with externalized national action, since campus is not for, you cannot stay on campus anymore. We are foreign on campus. We have now moved out of campus now to externalize our struggle. And that's why we are calling on well-meaning Nigerians to support this, because if that policy can stand in OAU, then other schools, OAU is the school with the strongest union resistance. If it can stand in OAU, that means they are coming to other schools to increase. We have the opinion that this is the federal government policy to commercialize public education, and public education needs to be saved. As for OAU, we are demanding reopening of the school immediately. We are also demanding total reversal of the fee. However, if they can come to the table, we are ready to talk and talk about the fees. Each fee, because there are a lot of spurious fees. For instance, they are charging developmental levy of about 25,000 naira for fresh students. But if you look at that fee, what is the essence of the 7 billion that has been marked for OAU from the federal government as to crisis? What are they doing with that fee? Now they are bringing another developmental levy. And we ask them, eventually you have this fund from the federal government, are you going to refund the increased fees? They said we should not tell them that and things like that. It's just that some people just want to increase for the purpose of increasing. They can't justify it. On these notes, I will say, Aluta continua.
We lost IFE students. We lost the section of the student union to court attack. To actually keep as a record, this was the first time in the history of IFE and the last time which we believe this will ever happen. And this happened during the tenure of Professor Wale Omole, and now we have another Omole also in the making. Please keep this one in mind. I would like to state this one to the school that the security of the student union executive is very important to us. That's number 1. Because it is beginning gradually this way, using cult-like tendencies. And we like to state it. IFE as a school have always stood against cultism. And union in IFE will never use cult-like tendencies to push away their aims. Number 1. Number 2 is that I cannot imagine that you closed down a school and you took out light from student union building. Student union of OAU is part of the institution on campus. As you cannot take light away from the lecturers on campus, as you cannot take light away from NASU, then you should not take light away from student union building. If school is closed down, so to say, you should not tell student union that they can also not operate, because it is one of the fundamental institutions on campus. This actually shows that it's not a fair play for the students and also the management authority. So please, I would like to state this one clearly. Restore the light back in student union building and give them, because you cannot say you want to mediate and the union executive are not on campus. How do you mediate? Do you want to mediate with people who are not on campus? Now, executive are in Lagos, they are in Ibadan, they are wondering about why they are being threatened on campus. Please, I would like to take this one. Restore the light back and show that you actually want a reconciliation. That's number 2. Number 3 is that during the ASU federal government face-off in 2013, students were at the receiving end, like we always say. When 2 elephants are fighting, who suffers actually the grasses? In this case, student unions supported ASU in their claims. Why? Because we believe that what ASU was fighting for was not about their fees, was not about their salaries. What we were fighting for were the laboratories. What we were fighting for was infrastructure on campus. What we were fighting for was the toilet. It was so surprising and so pathetic for me that I went back to the school. I went back to the same floor where I was student union president, and I realized that the same toilet, the same water closet I used 8 years ago when I was in final year was still the same one on campus. In a very bad state. And I'd like to say this one again, that this is what is pathetic, and there's no means of argument from the school authority, because this is not better equipped. Hostels are not better equipped. From what I left on campus many years ago, I left campus 2006. 2006 till now, I've not seen considerable improvement in infrastructure for the students. Now, this needs to be stated clearly. Now, we say OAU is the foremost in infrastructure. But guess what? Things are not happening. You need to ask the management authority. How many hostels have you built in addition to the existing hostels? None. So students are increasing by the day, freshmen are increasing by the day, and we have an hostel for female students, for male students. We have one that we call Angola for male students. It has how many blocks? It has blocks from A to J. And guess what? Till today, when I got to campus in 2000 till now, no single hostel has been added extra. To actually let you know, this hostel was actually built during the Nigger Games. It was not even built to actually house students. So, hostel which was even built not for the purpose of students living there, students are living there now and you have not added even not singular one to it.
The management should understand that this is a depressed economy. We can also juxtapose that with the living wage that people earn. Most of the guardians, most of the parents, those who earn a living will have to do a lot in terms of sending their wards to school. I want to state that we strongly oppose commercialization of education. We are in such a situation that insecurity of lives and property has become a recurring decimal. And as we speak, with the closure of the institution, as we also speak, trying to frame the students and their leaders who have been operating within the ambit of the law, we cannot continue to talk about peace when no one is asking for justice. It's justice that they desire. It's justice that they deserve. And that is why we want to use all means within the ambit of the Constitution to ask the school authority, the management, that in trying to negotiate, in trying to come to a round table with students, they must do that on a level playing ground. The student union government must not be proscribed. We also want to warn again that these students that have become torchbearer, they have become the life wire for this great movement, must not be suspended. We don't want them, nobody must witch hunt them, there must never be any vendetta. And lastly, we want to believe that the federal government is listening. We also believe that this is a class struggle. Most people within the management, I think it's going to be news when you find their wards schooling in this country. Most of them have their children and wards outside the shores of this country. And so, most of the things that the management is perpetuating now, their wards will not suffer from such. And so, we want our students brought back to campus. We want negotiation to be opened. We want this wicked and scandalous school fees. We want it returned to the status quo. We do not want any witch hunting, any vendetta, and any other person that is going to blackmail all these students, because the whole world realizes that whatever students have been doing with their leaders, they've been doing that within the ambit of the law. It is the management and people who have been spreading false news that are trying to aggravate the whole situation. Finally, we want to salute the students for being so vigilant, for being so committed to the struggle, from their track records. I want to assure you that we stand solidly with you, shoulder to shoulder. And whatever happens, even when the negotiation comes, we are not just going to stop here, but we will ensure that we do all we can within our reach in making sure that the school is reopened immediately.